Anna says, Jess Phillips has been a foul-mouthed, gobby irritant for years. She says a lot about Starmer. It says a lot about Starmer putting her in that ministerial position. It's incredible that now she's in place to finally tackle the issue of rape gang violence. She's towing the party line. She's neither courageous or intellectually equipped to manage this brief, and she should resign. Tell us what you really think, Anna.
Yeah. Well, talking of that Jess Phillips has hit back at Elon Musk because he did call her I thought the language was intemperate, he called her a rape genocide apologist because she refused to give government funding to an inquiry which was sought by the council in Oldham into their own rape gangs. This is what she said in an interview last night.
Being in the spotlight like this and the intimation of what Elon Musk is, the disinformation, as I believe the Prime Minister referred to it as, has put out about me, it's endangering.
It's endangering you.
Mm.
I just want to be absolutely clear. Are you saying that as a result of some of Musk's tweets, the threat to you has gone up and things are in place to protect your safety?
Yes.
Oh, give me strength. Where's your evidence for that? I find that very, very hard to believe. When you are a woman in the public eye, particularly when you are an MP as a woman, you're going to get a lot of flack. You're going to get a lot. And sometimes it might come from the richest man in the world. That comes with the job. And she either has to, I think she either had to come out swinging and take him on and explain why he was wrong. Don't just be all mealy-mouthed and be like, well, that was misinformation. Tell him down the lens why he's wrong. Take him on, stand up for yourself. Or don't comment. That's your choice. Don't comment. Because by doing that interview, she made herself look like she's the victim here. Don't comment and say, I want all the focus to be on the victims of these grooming gangs.
Exactly. They're
rape
victims.
gangs.
Thousands and thousands of white girls, and some of them were boys too. Some of them were children because they were as young as 11 years old who were systematically raped by gangs of mainly Pakistani heritage. Now, the Tories are pushing for this full inquiry into the scandal today. They are pushing for a Commons vote. Labour opposing it.
Do you know what I mean, though, about Jess Phillips? I feel like when you're a woman like that, and Elon Musk was wrong in that she hasn't been the key protagonist in this. She has done quite a lot over the years to protect women and girls, and she's really tried. So say that, Jess Phillips, like really make it clear. Come out with a list of things that you've done, and then don't comment on Elon Musk.
Yeah, and also the Tories blocked another public inquiry. They set up the J inquiry, which didn't, in my view, have the right terms of reference, because as we spoke to our guest earlier, only a small part of it dealt with the fact that Pakistani heritage gangs were behind these terrible rapes.
And also, if it wasn't for GB News, we wouldn't be talking about this. No. Remember that. If it wasn't for Charlie Peters and all the digging that he's done, nobody across the world would be discussing those girls right now. So, frankly, she should have also said in that interview, I'd just like to thank GB News for putting this back on the news agenda.
She's never going to do that, is she? Let's talk to our political correspondent, Catherine Forster, in Westminster. Catherine, I was surprised when you were on earlier, Catherine, saying that maybe this vote won't happen after all. Explain what's going on.
Well, what I meant was that there is a bill going through Parliament, which is the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill. It's having its second reading, and there will be a vote on that at the end of the day. But the vote that I was talking about may or may not happen is the vote that the Conservatives are trying to force on the issue of these rape gangs, calling for a nationwide statutory inquiry. Now, the way they're trying to get this is they're tabling an amendment, and it's up to the Speaker if he selects it or if he doesn't. We'll know hopefully in the next hour. Even if he does select it, it's going to fail simply because of the maths. The Conservatives will vote for it. Labour will vote against it. They are being whipped to do so. But it's about, I think, for the Conservatives, sort of putting a mark in the sand, trying to create a clear dividing line. Labour, of course, saying, look, you've had 14 years to act on child sexual exploitation, grooming gangs and so on and so forth. You haven't put these recommendations into practice. We're now getting on with it. But of course, Labour are saying that there is no need for a new inquiry. They're saying that it would slow everything down. And I'm not quite clear on why that is, because Labour have just announced another review into social care. We've had many of them. There was a plan that the Tories had ready to go, which they have scrapped, and they're conducting a review into social care. So how is it that social care can wait, and they say that they're still getting on with stuff, but they can do the review? But for these rape gangs, there is no need. I find that really, really curious. And on Jess Phillips, I think worth saying, first of all, it took her a week, didn't it, to publicly talk about this. She's clearly very shaken. We know that a 39-year-old man yesterday has been charged with malicious communication. But of course, ultimately, this is not about her. This is about those thousands and thousands of girls who have been horrifically raped, tortured, and in some cases killed. And for whatever you think about Elon Musk, if it hadn't been for Charlie Peters, GB News, and Elon Musk taking a hold of this and amplifying it, this has put a rocket under politicians of all stripes. Let's hope that something will come of it, because, you know, the Times first uncovered this about 15 years ago. They yesterday called for an inquiry, and the Times did point out that for all Jess Phillips' work on supporting women against violence, she is an MP that does have a constituency with a large Muslim population, and that may be a factor. And the Times finished their leader column by saying the government cannot risk dismissing genuine concerns simply for its own political protection.
I think she had a majority of something like 600 votes in her constituency, didn't she, in the last general election?
Her vote collapsed.
Tiny.
There was a swing of about 30%. She had an independent Muslim candidate stood against her. So, obviously, Catherine, you're right. There will be anxiety in everything she does about anything she does which could be seen to alienate the Muslim community. So she calls for a new public inquiry, which will be talking about Pakistani heritage men. Many of those men are in her constituency.
It's incredibly difficult, and this was put to her last night in an interview on television. She said that was absolute rubbish to suggest that. But yes, her majority was slashed, and Labour had a really rough time during the general election campaign and since, with a lot of its normal voters and the Muslim community who turned against them because of their stance on Gaza. I was with Starmer, I think, in Stoke on the branded bus, which he didn't get very often for security reasons. When we came out of one of his events, it was the middle of the day. There was a group of about 15 pro-Palestine supporters with flags, etc. And as we went to the bus, they were shouting at us that we were baby murderers. Labour politicians, it's been very difficult for them on that score as well. So you can see why this is all very, very problematic.
OK, thank you, Catherine. Catherine Forster there down at Westminster.